Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour. US President Donald Trump says that Iran is in very bad shape after failure of peace talks as the US Navy moves to blockade Iran's ports. Tehran responds, will not bow to the US threats, it says. At least 200 people are feared dead after Nigerian military jets strike a village market while pursuing Islamist militants on Saturday. The Air Force officials confirm a misfire. Viktor Orban concedes defeat after 16 years in power in a landmark verdict from Hungary. Peter Magyar is now set to be the new Prime Minister. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlights women's role in driving development and lifting families out of poverty. Parliament prepares 2029 implementation of the Women's Reservation Law. The United States and Iran launched a new round of strategic maneuvering over the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global energy markets. On Sunday, after peace talks between the two sides, that's the United States and Iran, ended without a deal. The US President Donald Trump says that the ceasefire with Iran is holding for now, but he's confirmed a blockade is imminent, while Tehran is in no mood to bow under pressure. Let's look at this report.
Tensions are escalating in West Asia as the United States moves to impose a naval blockade on Iranian ports. The US Navy is set to block all vessels entering or leaving Iranian ports after talks collapsed over Tehran's nuclear program. Washington says ships transiting the strait to non-Iranian ports will not be stopped, but any vessel paying tolls to Iran could face action.
I think Iran is in very bad shape. I think they're very desperate. We had a meeting that lasted 21 hours. We understand the situation better than anybody, and Iran's in very bad shape. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Will not have. There is no way that they're going to get. They still want it, and they made that clear the other night. Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Iran has strongly pushed back. Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf asserted that Tehran will not bow to pressure. IRGC also issued a stern warning that any approaching military vessel could trigger a strong response. Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi accused Washington of shifting demands, though President Masoud Pezeshkian says a deal is still possible if US pressure ends. The two sides have failed to reach agreement on the US demand that Iran cease funding for Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis, as well as fully open the strait. Iran has rejected Washington's call for an end to all uranium enrichment, dismantling of all major enrichment facilities and the transfer of highly enriched uranium. The collapse has raised fears of renewed conflict across the region. The US military said it will blockade all Iranian Gulf ports on Monday at 1500 GMT, effectively seizing control of maritime traffic in the critical Strait of Hormuz, the strategic waterway through which a fifth of the global oil supply passes. US Central Command says blockade will be imposed against vessels entering or departing Iranian ports. US forces will not impede vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz to and from non-Iranian ports, while Iran warns it would trap any challenger in Strait of Hormuz in a deadly vortex. A naval blockade prevents ships from using a coastal region. Under international law, a naval blockade is considered an act of war. It can effectively cripple enemy's economy by restricting sea-based commerce. Strait of Hormuz is a narrow stretch of water located between Iran, the United Arab Emirates and Oman. The waterway connects the Gulf to the Gulf of Oman, making it a vital global shipping route. Any disruption here could impact global energy supplies and shipping costs. With diplomacy stalled and military posturing increasing, fears are growing that the Strait of Hormuz could become the flashpoint for a wider conflict. Aarti Rana for DD India.
Well, one of the major sticking points in the ceasefire talks is the conflict between Israel and Lebanon over Iran-backed Hezbollah. Now, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli forces had eliminated the threat of an invasion by Hezbollah militants during a visit to troops in southern Lebanon. He said that the war continues, including within the security zone in Lebanon. And Israel has said that the temporary ceasefire in the wider West Asia war does not apply to its battle with Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israeli officials have repeatedly said that Israel wants to establish a security zone in South Lebanon to help prevent Hezbollah attacks. The Lebanese Prime Minister, Nawaf Salam, has vowed that he will keep working to ensure the withdrawal of Israeli troops. Lebanon was pulled into this conflict when Hezbollah fired rockets at Israel after the US-Israeli strikes killed Iran's supreme leader, Nawaf Salam. He said that there was a moral obligation to protect the civilian population from the atrocious effects of war. Well, the US President Donald Trump on Sunday warned China with new tariffs on its goods entering the United States if Beijing provides military assistance to Iran during the West Asia war. Trump also made an unexpected pitch to China by offering to supply oil at competitive rates. Trump's remarks, they came in response to reports citing US intelligence that Beijing may be preparing to send weapons to Iran during a fragile two-week ceasefire. Meanwhile, China called such reports as baseless smears. And to help us understand developments between the United States and Iran, we have with us Ambassador Ashok Sajanar, former senior diplomat, well-known international affairs expert. Thank you, Ambassador Sajanar. Now, what, in your opinion, is preventing a breakthrough in the Iran-US talks?
Thank you very much, Mark, for having me. I think the positions of the two sides are very wide apart, far apart. Mm-hmm. We saw that before the meeting in Islamabad, there was a 10-point proposal from Iran and there was a 15-point proposal from the United States. The United States had said that the 10-point proposal was a working proposition for getting a ceasefire and for getting a final agreement with Iran. But obviously, when the two sides have met, the positions have been far apart, and one of the most fundamental sticking points is whether Iran would have the possibility to develop a nuclear weapon. And this is something, of course, that Iran has in the past stated very categorically that it is not looking for a nuclear weapon, but then it was not apparently willing to give a commitment to this effect. And also, what the US demanded is that there should be no enrichment that Iran engages in. And of course, in addition to that, the whole issue of Hezbollah in Lebanon, Strait of Hormuz, the issue of reparations. Right. So these are all issues that are outstanding. But the fundamental one is the capability of Iran to engage in nuclear energy.
Ambassador Sajanar, how does the US's naval blockade alter the strategic balance in the Strait of Hormuz?
Well, it is, Mark, at this stage, in my view, rather difficult to imagine as to how it is going to be implemented, because there are very many views that have been expressed by experts on both sides of the spectrum. Some say that, it will be possible for the United States to do it. The others say that the capacity that is required for it will be very huge. But be as it may, what it really implies is what the United States is trying to do is to choke Iran also of its revenue, because what is happening from the Strait of Hormuz is that the supply of oil and gas to all countries is being restricted very heavily, very severely. While before the war, there used to be about 140 vessels that used to cross the Strait of Hormuz, about 90% of that oil and gas going to Asia. After the start of the war, it's been just about 6, 7, 10 vessels that are going. So the whole world is suffering, and but Iran has been able to send out its vessels, and the price of oil has risen. So it is really reaping huge benefits. So Mr. Trump,
Right.
what he's trying to do is stop this export of Iranian oil, and so that choke Iran's capability of earning that revenue, and also not be able to earn the revenue as it has demanded $2 million for every tanker that is going out of the Strait of Hormuz.
What are the implications, Ambassador Sajjanar, of Iran claiming that the deal was inches away? But as you mentioned that, the United States is citing nuclear-related refusals.
Sorry, I lost you,
Yeah.
Mark.
I was saying that what are the implications of Iran? Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah, okay.
Now I can hear you.
So I'm asking, what are the implications of Iran claiming that the deal was inches away? And as you mentioned earlier, that the US is citing the nuclear issue as the major reason for refusal. I mean, what was Iran so close to settling?
Yeah, no details of where the discussions finally broke down have been provided, either by Iran or by the United States. What Mr. J.D. Vance, in his very brief address, saying that, things did not work out, he basically focused on the issue of the nuclear capacity, nuclear enrichment capability of Iran. But of course, Lebanon and Israel's attacks on Lebanon, even after the ceasefire was announced, I think that was definitely also a make or break issue. And the Strait of Hormuz is also a make or break issue, because if you remember, when the 2-week ceasefire deal was agreed, it was also thought that the Strait of Hormuz, that is what Mr. Trump had mentioned in his Truth Social post, that will be thrown open to commerce, to commercial commerce for the whole world. But that was not done by Israel, because by Iran, because it said that Israel is going into Lebanon, and that was never a part of the deal.
Indeed, and if we look at this fragile ceasefire that is currently holding still, how does it impact broader West Asia stability? And, the whole of them, the region was probably looking forward to some sort of agreement, which is now, not so close.
No, absolutely. You're very right. I think it impacts the whole world. If the Strait of Hormuz is closed, as I mentioned earlier, it impacts the whole world, because as we know, about 20% of global oil, global gas comes out of it, about 20 million barrels of oil a day, and equivalent amount 20% of the LNG and LPG comes out from there. And India is particularly dependent on that, because out of the 50% of LPG that we import from the world, about 90% of that 50% comes from the Strait of Hormuz. So many countries are very adversely affected, and the Gulf countries are also very adversely affected, because they are not able to export their commodities, that is oil, gas, LPG, LNG, etc., and not import whatever they require for their own, whether it is machinery or equipment or food items or any other things. So the Gulf states are also suffering hugely as a result of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the 2-week ceasefire, of course, is helping the Gulf states, because they can see that, there are no attacks, fresh attacks coming from Iran, because they have been debilitated by the attacks from Iran, and they have been very, very heavy on the infrastructure, economic infrastructure, energy infrastructure, even as far as tourism is concerned, that has come to a standstill. The airports have been hit. So at least those attacks have stopped for the time being.
Ambassador Sajjanar, a final question. I mean, do you see any viable pathways still available after both sides have publicly blamed each other and there's a trust deficit? I mean, there are supposedly deep negotiations still going on.
Yeah, Mark, trust deficit will continue to be there. Let's face it, that one meeting, the first initial meeting, can not, bridge the trust deficit that has been there for a long, long time. But I think the first meeting was important because both of, it provided an opportunity to both sides to really test the waters, to see what the red lines of the other side are, and then go back and then take a view on how to proceed forward. But war is not a way to, conflict will not resolve any of these issues. It has to be done across the table. And if there are, some plausible mediators, like now the Russian President Putin, in his conversation with Pezeshkian, he had suggested that Putin is willing to, engage in some sort of mediation between the two sides.
Right.
Possibly that could happen, but otherwise it has to be talks, it has to be negotiation. I don't know whether the sides can again meet in Islamabad. To me, it seems unlikely. But they will have to come together. And both the sides, JD once said that the ball is in Iranian court. Iran has said we are willing to engage in diplomacy. So I hope that would happen sooner rather than later.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Ambassador Sajjanar, for putting all that into perspective for us. Now, still to come here on DD India News Hour. Voting is extended in parts of Lima after disruptions delay balloting. France will be debating a bill that eases the return of colonial-era artifacts.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what to save your.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Leaves on Monday for a visit to 4 countries in Africa in an ambitious tour to urge world leaders to address the needs of the continent. Here's a history of papal visits to Africa, where more than 20% of the world's Catholics live.
Pope Paul VI's historic 1969 visit to Uganda was the first time a reigning pontiff set foot on African soil. Crowds packed the international airport of Entebbe, gathering beneath hand-painted banners as dancers performed along the tarmac. Over the 3-day visit, he made 19 speeches and ordained 12 new Catholic bishops. More than a decade later, papal engagement with Africa expanded further. In 1980, Pope John Paul II made his first visit to the continent, touring 6 countries and signaling a new era of sustained papal engagement. 2 years later, during his second visit to Africa, he traveled to Nigeria, meeting diplomats and Polish nationals on the final day of his stay before continuing on to Benin. By 1985, papal visits to Africa had become a regular feature of John Paul II's pontificate. with a tour spanning West, Central, and East Africa, including stops in Togo, Zaire, and Morocco. In 1995, Pope John Paul II traveled to South Africa for the first time following the end of apartheid. Welcomed by President Nelson Mandela, the Pope hailed the emergence of a new South Africa and used the visit to underline themes of reconciliation, unity, and renewal as part of a wider African tour. Over nearly 2 decades, Pope John Paul II made extensive pastoral journeys across Africa, visiting the continent 15 times and traveling to 41 countries. In March 1998, he returned to Nigeria on one of his final trips to Africa. Speaking in Onitsha, he called for reconciliation and self-restraint, urging these as the foundation for lasting peace. In March 2009, Pope Benedict XVI made his first visit to Africa, traveling to Cameroon and Angola as the continent faced some of the world's highest HIV/AIDS rates. The trip drew global attention and criticism after remarks he made about condom use during his first flight to Cameroon. Pope Benedict visited Africa twice during his papacy and was the last pope to have traveled to Cameroon and Angola. Before Pope Leo, Pope Francis was the most recent pontiff to travel extensively across Africa, traveling to the continent 5 times between 2015 and 2023. In 2015, he traveled to the Central African Republic amid a 2-year sectarian conflict, becoming the first pope to visit an active war zone, despite strong advice from Vatican officials not to go. His final African visit was in February 2023 to the Democratic Republic of the Congo and South Sudan. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, France is set to debate a key bill on returning cultural artifacts. The move addresses items taken during the colonial era. The legislation aims to simplify the restitution process. Lawmakers in France will debate a bill to facilitate the return of artworks looted during the colonial period. The draft law, already approved by the Senate, now awaits passage in the National Assembly to become law. President Emmanuel Macron has backed the move, which targets artifacts acquired between 1815 and 1972 amid growing restitution demands from countries which include Algeria, Mali, and Benin. At least 200 people are feared dead after Nigerian military jets struck a village market while pursuing Islamist militants in the northeast of the country. Nigeria's military said that it carried out a precise airstrike on a known terrorist base and logistics center near the deserted village of Jilli, claiming that many militants were killed. The Nigerian Air Force, responding to reports of civilian casualties, said it had opened an investigation after reports suggested the strike may have hit a local market in Jilli and caused civilian casualties. Earlier, the Air Force said it had killed Boko Haram militants in the Jilli axis in Borno state. 3 other residents and officials and an official from an international humanitarian agency confirmed the strike and also estimated death toll. Peru's national elections jury extended voting into Monday in parts of Lima after disruptions prevented many parts from casting ballots. Polling stations will open April 13 with voting from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. local time. The election authority extended restrictions in affected areas, keeping campaign advertising bans as well in place through Monday and prohibiting exit polls or early results until the voting ends. The announcement came after voting materials failed to reach 15 polling stations across Lima, in fact polling locations, leaving around 63,000 voters unable to vote. Peru's presidential candidate Roberto Sanchez called on all for transparency and to respect the democratic process following widespread disruptions.
I don't believe there is fraud exactly as referred to in that context. The same people said the same things before. Send your representatives, put controls in place and the data in public. Let's play with clear rules. We must respect the process. Exceptional measures have already been taken as well as all called at the right time. I believe Peru needs transparency and respect for the vote.
Medidas excepcionales que todos hemos invocado.
Serious fraud allegations were raised after electoral materials did not arrive at dozens of polling stations in Lima. Electoral authorities rejected fraud allegations and said delays were due to late installation of voting booths and absent polling staff. Keiko Fujimori overtook the right-wing rival Rafael Lopez Alega in Peru's parliamentary presidential results in early hours of Monday. With 37% of the ballots counted, Fujimori led with 17.17% ahead of Lopez Alega on 16.97%. With no clear frontrunner and all major candidates polling well below 50% needed to win outright, a June 7 runoff is likely. Haiti has declared national mourning after a deadly incident. A stampede during a public event claimed several lives. Authorities have announced support measures for victims. Haiti declared 3 days of national mourning after a stampede at the La Fière Citadel killed 30 people during an annual celebration. Prime Minister Alex Didier said that the government will cover the funeral expenses for the victims. Authorities continue to assess the situation at the historic UNESCO World Heritage Site. The South Korean President Lee Jae-myung and the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, they have agreed to upgrade their relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership with defense cooperation at the center. The agreement includes expanded collaboration in joint production, technology transfer and training beyond traditional arms deals. Both countries also committed to strengthening ties in energy, infrastructure, science and technology, advanced industries, space and people-to-people exchanges. Satellite imagery released by NASA and Japan's weather agencies showed super typhoon Sinlaku churning across the western Pacific on Monday as it maintained maximum sustained winds of around 180 miles per hour. So the storm was located southeast of Guam on Monday, and it's moving northwest according to the National Weather Service, with forecasters expecting it to pass near Saipan and Tinian as a very powerful high-end Category 4 or 5 system. So authorities have warned of heavy rain, flash flooding and also increasingly destructive winds. They are set to spread across Guam and northern Mariana Islands, urging residents there to complete their preparations for shelter and to take place in that place. Let's take a look now at other stories making news from around the world. The 22nd edition of the Harid Nights Festival is underway in the Farasan Islands, drawing crowds from across Saudi Arabia. The festival highlights the traditional Harid fishing ritual in the Jazan region, where communities gather to catch and share the fish in a vibrant display of centuries-old maritime customs. In southeast Turkey, women are converting textile factory waste into new clothing through local sewing and knitting courses. By reusing leftover fabric and yarn, they create items like socks and cardigans, which support both households, their incomes, and they are environmentally sustainable. Still to come here on DD India News Hour. Rajnath Singh inaugurates Sansad Khel Mahotsav, calls sports key to nation building. Jallianwala Bagh massacre is remembered. It ignited India's fight for freedom. Nation bids a tearful farewell as Asha Bhosle's last rites will be held in Mumbai today.
to Jaipur.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the national level Nari Shakti Vandan Sammelan at Vigyan Bhavan on Monday. And this event brought together women achievers and eminent personalities from diverse fields including governance, science, sports, entrepreneurship, media and social work, highlighting the growing role of women across sectors. In his address, the Prime Minister said that women holding key positions from the President to the Finance Minister have created distinct legacies and enhanced the nation's pride and dignity.
हमारे देश में राष्ट्रपति से लेकर प्रधानमंत्री तक महिलाएं जहां भी रही हैं, उन्होंने अपनी अलग लेगेसी बनाई है। इस समय भी हमारे देश में राष्ट्रपति जी से लेकर वित्त मंत्री तक ऐसे अहम पद महिलाएं ही संभाल रही है। उन्होंने देश की गरिमा और गौरव दोनों को बढ़ाया है।
He also referred to discussions around the implementation timeline of the Nari Shakti legislation, noting that the government is engaging with all stakeholders and will hold detailed deliberations in Parliament from April 16 with a focus on consensus and cooperation.
कानून पारित हो लेकिन लागू न हो, ये सदन में किसी को मंजूर नहीं था और खास करके हमारे विपक्ष के सभी साथियों ने मुखर होकर के इस बात पर जोर डाला था कि 2029 में ये लागू होना चाहिए। 2029 की समय सीमा को ध्यान में रखते हुए सरकार ने, क्योंकि विपक्ष ने जो बात रखी थी हमारे लिए वो बात भी गंभीर होती है और इसलिए हम लगातार विचार विमर्श करते रहे, मंथन करते रहे, नए नए रास्ते खोजते रहे। संविधान की जिनको ज्यादा अध्ययन है ऐसे लोगों की भी सलाह ली और 16 अप्रैल से संसद में इस पर व्यापक चर्चा भी होने जा रही है। साथियों, हमारा प्रयास है और हमारी प्राथमिकता भी है, इस बार भी ये काम संवाद, सहयोग और सहभागिता से हो।
The Prime Minister described the move as one of the most significant decisions of the 21st century, dedicated to strengthening women's empowerment and advancing India's development journey.
देश की विकास यात्रा के इन अहम पड़ावों के बीच भारत 21वीं सदी के सबसे बड़े निर्णयों में से एक निर्णय लेने जा रहा है। मैं बहुत जिम्मेवारी के साथ कह रहा हूं कि 21वीं सदी के महत्वपूर्ण निर्णयों में से एक महत्वपूर्ण निर्णय ये है ये निर्णय नारी शक्ति को समर्पित है। नारी शक्ति वंदन को समर्पित है।
And my colleague Deepika Mehto now joins us live for more. Deepika, so what were the key takeaways of the Prime Minister's speech at the Nari Shakti event and what can be expected from the Parliament session from the 16th to the 18th?
Good afternoon, Mark. Today marks a very important day because Nari Shakti Vandan Sammelan was organized today in New Delhi's Vigyan Bhavan ahead of the special session which is to be convened on the 16th, 17th and 18th of this month. Now, Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam that ensures 33% women reservation. It is called Women Reservation Bill. In 2023, it got passed. Now, the amendment version will be discussed in the three-day segment, in the three-day special segment, which will be convened, the parliament session, which will be convened in New Delhi. And ahead of this, the Nari Shakti Vandan Sammelan was organized today in New Delhi, in which many of the women celebrities, the commoners, the politicians, they came all under one roof to discuss the importance of this bill. Not only this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself came, addressed all the women, not only who were present here at this certain occasion, but also through the visual medium. He addressed all the women across the entire country and said that all the dreams have been taken care of when it comes to women, because women play a very important role, because we are on the path of becoming a developed nation by the year 2047, and the goal cannot be achieved without ensuring empowerment to women. And hence, this women reservation bill will play a very important role. Not only the Prime Minister Narendra Modi outlined so many initiatives, so many yojanas which are being laid down by the government, that talks about that how the government is supporting the women right from when they are born to the time when they really want to do their own business, to the time when they really want to achieve something. So Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took the opportunity of ensuring all the country women that they are being supported end to end. And Viksit Bharat can only be achieved through the empowerment of these women. Mark.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much, Deepika, for joining us with that update. Now, External Affairs Minister Jai Shankar has concluded his visit to the United Arab Emirates. The visit focused on strengthening bilateral ties. His visit to the United Arab Emirates helped strengthen the India-UAE comprehensive strategic partnership, with discussions focusing on deepening cooperation across key sectors. And he also shared highlights of the visit. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh inaugurated the Sansad Khel Mahotsav in Lucknow on Monday, highlighting the importance of sports in nation building. Addressing the event, the Defence Minister said that sports in India did not receive the importance that it's deserved in the past, but he's emphasized the need to recognize the importance of sport and promote athletics as well in society and athletes. He noted that over the last decade, a significant positive change has been seen in the sporting ecosystem, creating better opportunities and also a stronger environment for players from all parts of the sporting world to grow.
भारत में खेलों की बात करते हैं तो हम ये देख सकते हैं कि भारत में खेलों को कभी भी वह महत्व नहीं मिला जैसा कि मिलना चाहिए था। इसलिए यह बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है कि समाज में खेल और खिलाड़ियों के महत्व को न केवल समझा जाए बल्कि उन्हें आगे बढ़ने का भी पूरा अवसर दिया जाए।
1919 Baisakhi massacre at Jallianwala Bagh saw innocent blood shed by British bullets. This brutal assault on unarmed souls didn't silence India. In fact, it ignited an immortal flame that eventually led to the nation winning a hard-won liberty. Now, an indebted nation still remembers the supreme sacrifice. Let's take a look.
Today marks one of the darkest chapters in India's struggle for freedom, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of the 13th of April 1919. At that time, the British government had imposed the Roulette Act, severely curtailing civil liberties. Protests had erupted across the country. In the city of Amritsar in the state of Punjab, the arrest of two popular leaders, Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Saifuddin Kichliu, had led to unrest among people. The 13th of April was Baisakhi, a major harvest festival of Punjab. Thousands of people, including women, children and elder villagers from surrounding areas, had gathered peacefully at Jallianwala Bagh. It was an enclosed garden with narrow exits. Some had come to celebrate the festival, while others to protest peacefully against the Roulette Act. The crowd numbered between 10,000 and 20,000. Without any warning or order to disperse, Brigadier General Reginald Dyer arrived with troops. He ordered the soldiers to block the main exit and open fire on the unarmed gathering. For nearly 10 minutes, the troops fired continuously, expending over 1,650 rounds. People desperately tried to escape through the narrow gates. Many jumped into the well inside the garden in a bid to save their lives. Official British figures reported 379 deaths and over 1,200 injured. Indian estimates placed the death toll at more than 1,000, with thousands more injured. Many perished from bullet wounds in the stampede or by drowning in the well. No immediate medical aid was provided and a curfew prevented help from reaching the injured. The massacre shook the entire nation. Outraged by the indiscriminate firing on unarmed Indians, Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore renounced his knighthood in protest. It became a turning point in India's freedom movement, deeply eroding faith in British justice and strengthening the resolve for Mahatma Gandhi's non-violent struggle, which soon led to the non-cooperation movement. Even today, the bullet marks on the walls of Jallianwala Bagh and the Martyrs' Well bear silent witness to the supreme sacrifice made for the cause of freedom. As we pay homage to the innocent lives lost on that tragic day, let us remember the enduring power of truth, non-violence, and the spirit of patriotism. Antara Sinha for DD India.
The legendary playback singer Asha Bhosle breathed her last on Sunday. The Queen of Melody passed away at the age of 92 at the Breach Candy Hospital in Mumbai. Draped in the tricolour, the mortal remains of Asha Bhosle were placed for public homage at her residence in Mumbai on Monday, as family, film industry members, officials and fans gathered to pay their respects. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief on the singer's demise, with film and music personalities also offering condolences. Her last rites will be held today at the Shivaji Park in Mumbai with full state honours. Let's look at this report.
Legendary playback singer Asha Bhosle passed away on Sunday at the age of 92 at Breach Candy Hospital in Mumbai. She was admitted after suffering a cardiac arrest on Saturday. Her son, Anand Bhosle, confirmed the news. Asha Bhosle received numerous awards during her illustrious career. These include 7 Filmfare Awards for Best Singer and 1 Lifetime Achievement Award. In addition, she was honoured with the prestigious Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 2000 and Padma Vibhushan in 2008. Throughout her career, she has sung approximately 16,000 songs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over passing away of Asha Bhosle and called her one of the most iconic and versatile voices India has ever known. Several personalities from film and music industry offered their condolences on the passing away of legendary singer.
It's the end of an era, I feel, and it's a very sad day for all of us. And my heartfelt condolences to the full country, all our fans, her family, everyone. हम सब उनके परिवार ही हैं. तो बहुत ही दुख की बात है ये. We pray that her soul may rest in peace.
A very sad day for Indian music. Just cannot believe that our dearest Asha is no more.
She was such an amazingly versatile singer. It's just unbelievable to talk about Asha ji Bhosle in the past.
She used to always tell me that it's been 8 decades that she'd been singing, because she started singing almost at the age of 13, 14, and she was 92 when she's gone. She'd actually not gone, and she always wanted us to smile and celebrate her exit. And she was very, very particular about that.
Asha Bhosle ji has passed, and extremely saddening, or just no words. Obviously, उनकी जो डिस्कोग्राफी और जो लेजेंडरी म्यूजिक है, लेजेंडरी सॉन्ग्स हैं, वो तो हमेशा they'll be with us, but it's truly a sad day.
If she could play with her voice, she could do equally well with her dishes. She used to personally cook for me and Kiran when we went there, and she would absolutely enjoy what she was doing, and she would served personally as well. It was absolutely amazing.
Shah Rukh Khan wrote in a post of X, and I quote, "It's truly sad to learn about Asha Tai's passing. Her voice has been one of the pillars of Indian cinema and will continue to resonate world over for centuries to come. A talent that will outlive many. She always showered me with blessings and love, and I will miss her. Rest in peace, Asha Tai. Love you." Asha Bhosle's last rites are scheduled for 4 p.m. at Mumbai Shivaji Park. Although Asha Bhosle has departed for her heavenly abode, but her memories will remain in everyone's hearts forever. Siddharth Bhardwaj report for DD India.
And still to come here on DD India News Hour. Baisakhi festival marking harvest and new beginnings is being celebrated across India and the world. Sunrisers Hyderabad are going to face Rajasthan Royals in the Indian Premier League's 21st match today. Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Hungary's veteran nationalist leader Viktor Orban lost power to the upstart centre-right TISA party. This happened on Sunday in the national election after 16 years in office, marking a setback for his allies in Russia as the US President, and US President Donald Trump's White House, because he was also an ally to them. Now, his landslide defeat handed the TISA's Péter Medvár a comfortable majority in Hungary's 199-seat legislature.
The election result is painful for us, but clear. The responsibility and possibility of governing was not given to us. I have congratulated the winner. I thank you all for the great work. Dear friends, what this election results mean for the fate of the homeland and the nation, and what is deeper or higher meaning is, this we don't know. Only time will tell. But no matter how it turns out, we will also serve our country and the Hungarian nation from opposition.
And as per results, the TISA party, they secured a 2/3 majority with 138 seats in the 199-seat parliament and 53.6% of the vote share. Orban's Fidesz took 55 seats and 37.9% of the vote share. Medor pledged to restore checks and balances, ensure proper democratic functioning and set Hungary back on the right course.
Today, the Hungarian people said yes to Europe. They said yes to a free Hungary. They said yes to represent them, to help them, to put the country in order, because this is an Hungarian government, the responsibility of the Hungarian government. I call on the outgoing Prime Minister to act as an executive government from today and not to make any decisions that would tie the hands of the next government, the TISA government. Hungary will once again be a strong ally in the European Union and NATO.
Following the TISA's party's victory in Sunday's election, the European leaders have congratulated Peter Medea and also Ursula von der Leyen, saying that Hungary's choice reaffirmed its commitment to Europe and strengthened the bloc. World leaders, including the Ukrainian President Zelensky, the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, the French President Macron and the UK Prime Minister Starmer, congratulated Medor on his victory. Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Peter Medor on winning the resounding election in Hungary in his TISA party. India and Hungary share friendship rooted in deep historical ties, shared values and enduring mutual respect. The Prime Minister emphasized that the two countries have joint efforts and they will strengthen bilateral cooperation and tap into the opportunities of the India-EU strategic partnership for the prosperity and well-being of the people of both countries. Okay, Lars Holter is with Deutsche Welle and he joins me now from Berlin. Well, Lars, what's the outcome of this election mean actually for Hungary?
It's huge. Many in Hungary are calling it regime change, and we really see the country's excitement in the numbers. Peter Magyar and his TISA party won a 2/3 majority, and that is what insiders had said would be necessary to enable him to really change not only the leadership, but the political system in Hungary. Because yesterday was not about one man alone. It was not just about Orban after 16 years. It was about a corrupt system. There will be many people in companies and institutions all across Hungary, longtime Orban loyalists, who will have to be replaced. And then, under new leadership, it seems Hungary can return to rule of law and revive its economy. That will surely take some time, but Hungarians, it seems, are thrilled about their prospects. For more than a decade and a half, they've seen their economy weakened, their healthcare system broken, their incomes low, inflation rising, while the riches of the political elite grew. Now they voted for change and a much more moderate prime minister. And with Magyar promising to fight corruption and return to the rule of law, he is likely winning back foreign investors too. Those have been staying away from Hungary for years because they didn't find the country to be a reliable investment partner.
And Lars, also, what are you hearing from the business community? What are they saying about these election results?
I haven't seen too many official statements from companies, but generally there's good reason for companies in Germany and the rest of the EU to be happy. Many of them have paid high tariffs to sell products in Hungary. Orban had established a system that was rather protectionist and made it difficult for foreign, even for EU companies to compete with domestic firms in Hungary. These tariffs within the bloc were obviously illegal, and under Magyar they're expected to go away, even though some trade analysts have said that it might take months to cut through all the rules and change the policy. There's a lot less change to be expected for the auto sector. They have long done good business in Hungary, running vast plants there, benefiting from lower labor costs. They never had the tariff problems other businesses had, as their products were never meant for the domestic market, but they were to be exported from Hungary, strengthening the country's trade balance, actually. They too, however, will likely appreciate a more liberal environment in Hungary after these elections.
We leave it there. Thanks very much, Lars, for being with us. And you're watching DD India News Hour. Let's get you the sports news. In cricket, Sunrisers Hyderabad will be facing Rajasthan Royals in the 21st match of the Indian Premier League today. Sunrisers, they are on the 6th position on the table with a solitary win from 4 games, whereas the Royals are unbeaten after winning all of their 4 games. So in the previous fixture between these two sides, Sunrisers won by 44 runs, having posted 286 runs in the first innings, which is the highest total in IPL history. A Royals batter, Vaibhav Suryavanshi, will be a major threat as the 15-year-old has lately smashed the world's leading quicks, Jasprit Bumrah and Joss Hazelwood. To make matters worse for the Sunrisers, they are without their regular captain Pat Cummins, who is expected to join later in the week. Baisakhi preparations are in full swing across India, with people gathering to practice traditional Bhangra moves to the rhythm of traditional instruments. The nation is celebrating the harvest festival and the harvest season they're gearing up for, and gratitude also and new beginnings. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app, available on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.